The night was cold, wind moved through the empty streets like a whisper. Most people were inside their warm homes. But one man walked alone. His name was Ray. Ray had no home, no job, no family. He slept under a broken bridge, ate from trash bins, and wore a coat that was too thin for winter. People passed him every day and never looked twice to them. Ray was just another homeless man. But once, a long time ago, Ray had a life. He just didn't talk about it anymore. That night, Ray was looking for food behind a restaurant. The workers had just closed the place, and sometimes they left old bread in a box. He bent down to check the bin, but suddenly he heard something, a sound, a soft cry. He froze. It wasn't a cat. It wasn't the wind. It sounded like a child. Ray stood up and looked around. The street was dark, but the sound came from the alley next to the restaurant. He walked slowly, step by step. "Hello," he called out, no answer. Then he turned the corner and saw something that made him stop. There, sitting beside a pile of boxes, was a small boy, maybe 8 or 9 years old. His arms were crossed, his clothes were clean, but his eyes were full of fear. Ray stepped closer. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked gently. The boy looked up quickly. He didn't answer. Instead, he backed up and said, "Don't let them take me." Ray blinked. "Take you? Who?" The boy looked behind Ray, then whispered, "They're looking for me." Ray knelt down. "What's your name, son?" The boy hesitated. "Leo." His voice was small. Ray saw that the boy wasn't dirty. He wore branded shoes, a gold chain, and his jacket looked expensive. This kid didn't belong in an alley. Something was wrong, very wrong. Ray looked around. No one. The street was silent again, but something inside Ray told him, this boy isn't lost. He's running from someone. He took off his old coat and handed it to Leo. "Put this on. It's not warm, but it's something." Leo slowly reached out and took it. His hands were shaking. Ray stood. "Come on. I know a place nearby. It's not much, but it's safe." Leo looked unsure. "How do I know I can trust you?" Ray smiled gently. "You don't, but I won't leave a kid out here in the cold." Leo followed him. The two walked through side streets and quiet paths. After 10 minutes, they reached an old building with no doors. Inside, there was a corner with blankets, some water bottles, and a small candle. It was Ray's home. Leo sat down. He looked around confused. "Do you live here?" Ray nodded. "It's not the palace, but I've got the best spot in town." Leo gave a small smile. "The first one all night." Ray handed him a bottle of water. "You hungry?" Leo nodded again. Ray pulled out a half-eaten sandwich from a bag. "Sorry, it's not fresh, but it's not spoiled either." Leo took it without complaining and ate quietly. After a while, Ray sat across from him. "You wanna tell me what happened?" Leo stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then he spoke. "They took me from school, but I escaped. I ran." Ray frowned. "Who took you?" Leo looked up, eyes wide. "Bad men, in suits. They said they worked for my father, but they lied." Ray's heart began to beat faster. "Where's your father now?" Leo shrugged. "I don't know, but he's rich, very rich. We live in a big house." Ray leaned back slowly. "So, why would rich men take a rich man's son?" Leo looked down. "Because they want something from him." Ray's mind spun with questions. Who was this boy? Really, was he kidnapped? Was he in danger? And why did he remind Ray of someone? Ray looked closer. Leo's eyes, his nose, even the shape of his face. It stirred something in Ray's memory. "Where are you from, Leo?" Leo replied softly. "Silvergate." Ray's eyes widened. Silvergate was the richest area in the city. He had once lived near there, a long time ago, before he lost everything, before his life changed. "What's your father's name?" Ray asked. Leo hesitated. "I don't want to say. If I tell you, you might take me back." Ray shook his head. "I'm not turning you in. I just want to help, but I need to understand." Leo looked into his eyes for a long moment, then whispered, "His name is Daniel Marlowe." Ray froze. That name? Daniel Marlowe. It hit him like lightning. He knew that name because once, many years ago, Ray had a son. His name was Daniel. Ray's hands began to shake. He looked at Leo again. The boy who appeared in an alley. The boy who looked like someone he once loved. The boy who now sat in his shelter, eating his food. Could it be? Could this boy be his grandson? But Ray didn't say anything. Not yet. He just leaned back, heart racing. "It's late," he said. "You can sleep here tonight." Leo nodded. Yawning. He curled up in the blanket and closed his eyes. Ray sat in the dark, staring at the boy. His mind was full of pain, hope, and fear. He thought he was just helping a lost child. But maybe, just maybe, this child had come to save him. The sun rose slowly over the city. The streets were still empty, and the air was cold. Inside an abandoned building, Ray sat near a weak candle, watching the boy sleep. The boy's name was Leo, and Ray had found him crying in an alley just one night ago. At first, he thought Leo was just lost. But after hearing the name Daniel Marlowe, Ray's whole world shook. Daniel Marlowe was Ray's own son, a son Ray hadn't seen in over 15 years. And now, this boy sleeping in front of him, could he be my grandson? Ray whispered to himself. Ray didn't sleep that night. He just watched, and thought, and remembered. He remembered the day Daniel left home. The fight, the shouting, The last words Daniel said to him were, "You're nothing but a failure, Dad." And now, Daniel was rich, powerful, respected. And Ray was living in an empty room, wearing a torn coat. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about Leo, and why he was running. Leo finally opened his eyes. He looked around, confused for a second. Then he saw Ray. "You stayed up all night?" Leo asked. Ray smiled. "Old men don't sleep well." Leo sat up. "I had a dream. I was falling off a building, and someone caught me." Ray looked at him. "Maybe that someone was you, yourself." Leo tilted his head. "That's a weird thing to say." Ray chuckled. "I say weird things when I haven't had breakfast?" They both laughed a little. But deep inside, Ray was still full of questions. And he knew he needed answers. They walked to a nearby gas station where Ray sometimes cleaned windows for a little money. As they passed people, Leo kept pulling the hood over his face. "They might be looking for me," he said quietly. Ray looked around. No one seemed to notice them. "You're safe with me," he said, "but I need to know more. You said men in suits tried to take you. Why?" Leo hesitated, then finally spoke. "I overheard something. My dad was on the phone. He was yelling at someone. He said they were trying to take control of his company. He told them, 'If you touch my son, I'll destroy you.'" Leo swallowed hard. "Next day, those men showed up at my school. They said my dad sent them, but something felt wrong. They didn't take me home. They took me to a dark building." Ray clenched his fists. "What did you do?" "I waited until they slept. Then I ran. I climbed out a small window." Ray nodded slowly. It was worse than he thought. Leo wasn't just missing, he was being hunted, and now Ray had to protect him not just from the cold, but from people who wanted to use him later that day. Ray asked the man he trusted, a friendly newspaper vendor named Tommy, for help. Tommy knew things. He heard all kinds of street talk. "Tommy?" Ray asked quietly. "You heard anything about a rich man's kid missing?" Tommy blinked. "You serious? Whole city's talking about it. Daniel Marlowe's son disappeared yesterday. Some say he was kidnapped. Cops are searching. Even the FBI might be involved." Ray's heart pounded. "They think someone took him." Tommy nodded. "Yeah, and there's a reward too. Big one. $100,000. Ray didn't say anything. He thanked Tommy and walked back. His mind was racing. He now knew the truth. Leo was Daniel Marlowe's son, his grandson, and now the whole city thought he was kidnapped. Ray sat with Leo that night and looked at him seriously. "Leo, I need to tell you something about your father." Leo raised his eyebrows. "What about him?" Ray took a deep breath. "Your dad, Daniel Marlowe, is my son." Leo's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "Yes, we had a big fight years ago. We lost touch. I didn't even know he had a child. Until now." Leo sat back, stunned. "So, you're my grandfather?" Ray nodded slowly. Leo didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "I always wondered what happened to Dad's dad. He never talked about you." Ray looked down. "I'm not proud of my past, but now I've been given a second chance, and I'm not letting you go." The two sat in silence. Not cold silence, but a silence full of understanding. Leo finally leaned against Ray's shoulder. "I'm glad you found me, but danger was still near." That same night, a man in a black car sat across the street. He watched Ray's hideout through binoculars. Then he picked up a phone and said, "I found the boy. He's with an old man. They'll move soon. We'll take him tonight." Back in the shelter, Ray packed a small bag. "We can't stay here," he told Leo. "I don't trust this city anymore. We're going somewhere safe." Leo nodded. "But where?" Ray smiled. "I know a place, and it's where the real story begins." Ray and Leo left the shelter just before sunrise. The city was quiet. Only the wind and the soft sound of footsteps moved with them. Ray carried a small bag. Leo held onto his hand tightly. They walked for over an hour through side streets, past closed shops, and under bridges until they reached an old train yard. There, behind a stack of broken crates, was a rusted storage container. Ray opened it with a small key hidden under a stone. Inside were blankets, some cans of food, and a few old photos kept in a tin box. Leo looked around. "You've been here before?" Ray nodded. "This was my first shelter, back when I lost everything." Leo sat down on a blanket and asked quietly, "What happened, Grandpa? Why did you and Dad stop talking?" Ray sighed. He sat beside Leo, looked at the ceiling, and began to speak. "Your father, Daniel, was a smart boy. He worked hard, studied well. Your grandmother and I gave him everything we could. We weren't rich, but we were happy, at least I thought we were." Leo listened carefully. Ray continued. "I worked at a small car garage, fixed engines, changed tires. One day I was offered a quick side job, no paperwork, just fast money. It seemed easy. I took it, not knowing it was illegal." Leo's eyes widened. "Illegal?" Ray nodded slowly. "Yes. The man paid me to fix cars used in robberies. I didn't ask questions. I just needed the money. But one day, the police came. They found the stolen car in my shop. I got arrested, went to jail for 2 years." Ray looked down, ashamed. "Your father was 16 at that time. He had to drop out of school for a while. He started working, and he never forgave me." Leo spoke softly. "You made a mistake. That doesn't make you a bad person." Ray smiled sadly. I wish he had seen it that way. When I got out, I tried to talk to him, but he had already changed. He was cold, hard. He said I embarrassed him. Said he never wanted to see me again. I lost my job. Your grandmother passed away shortly after, and one day, I was on the street. Just like that. Leo felt a tear roll down his cheek. I'm sorry. Ray looked at him gently. Don't be. That's life, son. Some storms you survive. Others you carry. Leo reached into the tin box and pulled out an old photo. It was a picture of Daniel. As a teenager, holding a trophy, with Ray and his wife beside him, they looked so happy. Leo pointed at the photo. He still looks like you. The eyes, Ray chuckled. And you look like both of us. Except cleaner. They both laughed, but the moment didn't last long. Suddenly, they heard a sound outside. A car door. Then dash footsteps. Ray froze. He put his hand on Leo's shoulder. Quiet. Stay low. He peeked through a crack in the container door. A man in a black coat stood nearby. He was talking into a radio. Still no sign inside, but there are footprints. Fresh. Ray's heart started racing. They found us? He looked at Leo. We have to move. Now. They slipped out the back of the container, crawling under fences and through broken paths. The sun was rising fast. The shadows were disappearing. Ray held Leo's hand tight. He had escaped pain before, but this time, he wasn't running for himself. He was running for someone he loved. After 20 minutes of running, they reached a quiet church at the edge of town. Ray knew the priest. Father Miller was an old friend. He had helped Ray once during a hard winter. Ray knocked at the side door. The priest opened, surprised. Ray? My God, you look like you've seen a ghost. Can we come in? Please, we need help. Father Miller saw Leo and didn't ask questions. He opened the door. Inside. Ray told him everything. Who Leo was. What had happened. What he feared. Father Miller listened quietly, then said, You can stay here for the night, but after that, we'll need a plan. This child's face is all over the news. Ray looked at Leo sleeping on a bench nearby. His chest rose and fell. Softly. Father Miller spoke again. Have you thought about calling the father, Daniel? Ray shook his head. I don't even have a phone, and even if I did, I don't think he'd believe me. He probably thinks I kidnapped Leo. The priest sighed. Then we find a way to tell the truth. If not for Daniel, then for Leo. That night, Ray sat beside the boy and watched him sleep. He remembered holding Daniel like this, soft and innocent. And now, all these years later, he had a second chance. Not just to protect a child, but to fix a broken family. Ray whispered to himself. I couldn't be a good father, but maybe, just maybe, I can be a good grandfather. Outside the church, two men in black suits stood. By a car, one of them held a photo of Leo, the other made a call. We lost them again, but it's only a matter of time. Their eyes locked on the church's door. He can't hide him forever. The church was quiet. Outside, the sun had already set, and the streets were almost empty. Inside, Ray sat near the small window, watching for danger. Beside him, on a wooden bench, Leo was fast asleep, his arms around a pillow, face soft and peaceful. But Ray couldn't sleep. He couldn't rest, because in his heart, he knew something. The men would come, and when they did, he had to be ready. Earlier that day, Father Miller had let them hide inside the church storeroom. He brought them food and warm clothes. He also gave Ray something he hadn't touched in years. A cell phone. Ray held it in his hands like it was a bomb. You should call Daniel, Father Miller said. The boy's father deserves to know his son is alive. Ray stared at the phone. He won't believe me. He thinks I'm nothing. The priest sighed. Even if he hates you, Ray, this isn't about you anymore. It's about Leo. Ray looked at Leo sleeping on a bench. He remembered holding his own son in his arms. Years ago, when Daniel was just a baby, and now, that baby had grown into a man who had lost his son, and didn't even know that the boy was safe. With his father, Ray finally dialed the number. He had remembered it from years ago. The phone rang once, twice, then someone picked up. A cold voice answered. Daniel Marlowe speaking. Ray froze. Daniel, it's me. It's Dad. Silence. Then Daniel said sharply, What do you want? Ray's hands shook. I found Leo. He's safe. With me. Daniel's voice turned angry. Don't lie to me. The police said you took him. That's not true. Ray said quickly. I found him in an alley. He was running from men in black suits. I swear, I didn't take him. There was a pause. Then Daniel whispered, Where is he? At a church outside the city, Ray said. But listen, someone's following us. Someone dangerous. Daniel took a breath. Send me the address. I'm coming. Alone. Ray hung up and sent the location. Then he stared at the door again. He hoped he could trust Daniel, but something inside him said time was running out, and he was right across the street. A black car had stopped. Inside it, two men sat in silence. One wore sunglasses even at night. The other held a photo of Leo. The man with glasses spoke. The tracker says the boy's phone is inside this church. Let's move in now, the second man said, but the first man stopped him. No, too many eyes. We wait until early morning. Less people, less noise. Back inside, Ray woke Leo gently. Get up, son. We need to go. Leo blinked. Where? Somewhere safer. Your dad is coming. but I don't trust those men outside. Leo looked scared but nodded. Okay? Ray packed a small bag, wrapped Leo in a scarf, and took the back door. Father Miller gave Ray the church keys. Go through the tunnel. It leads to the next block. God protect you. Ray nodded, eyes full of thanks. They moved fast and quiet. The tunnel was dark and cold, but Ray didn't care. As long as Leo was safe, he'd walk through fire. They reached an old building and waited inside. Ray peeked through the curtain. He saw the black car still parked across the church, but now someone was standing beside it. A third man, and this one looked different. He wore a long brown coat and held something in his hand. A gun. Ray's heart dropped. They're armed. Leo trembled. Are they here to kill me? Ray looked at him. I won't let them touch you, I promise. An hour later, a silver car pulled up near the alley. A man stepped out in a suit. Ray recognized him instantly. Daniel, his son Daniel, looked older, tired, but strong. Ray stepped into the alley, holding Leo's hand. Daniel saw them, his eyes filled. With shock, Leo ran to him. Daniel dropped to his knees and hugged his son tightly. I thought I lost you. Tears rolled down Daniel's face. For the first time, Ray saw something he hadn't seen in years. Not pride, not anger, love, but the moment didn't last out behind them. The black car door opened. The men had followed. One of them shouted, We're not done here. Daniel stood up, shielding Leo. Ray stepped forward, fists clenched. Leave the boy alone. He's with his father. The men moved closer, but then police sirens, blue and red lights, flashed around the corner. The men froze. They turned and ran to their car, but it was too late. Police blocked the street, guns drawn. Put your hands up. The men were arrested within minutes. Daniel looked at Ray. How did you know? Ray looked down. I didn't. I just did what I should have done a long time ago. I protected family. Daniel was silent, then he whispered, Thank you, Dad. Those two words were small, but they broke years of silence. And for Ray, they meant everything. Later that day, police confirmed the truth. The men were part of a group trying to take over Daniel's company. They had planned to use Leo as leverage, but thanks to Ray, their plan failed. Ray didn't ask for money, didn't want fame. He just asked to visit Leo sometimes. Daniel agreed, as they hugged goodbye. Leo whispered, You saved me, Grandpa. Ray smiled. No, son, you saved me. The police had taken the bad men away. Leo was safe now. Ray thought the danger was over, but he was wrong. The next morning, Ray sat on a bench outside the hospital. Leo was inside, getting checked. Daniel, his son, was talking to the police captain. Ray sat quietly, his coat wrapped tight. Watching the birds move through the sky, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride, but also fear, because deep down, he knew the story wasn't finished. Daniel came out and sat beside Ray. The doctor said Leo's okay, just tired. Some scratches, but no serious harm. Ray smiled with relief. That's good. There was silence for a while, then Daniel looked at him. Dad, I don't know what to say. You saved my son. Ray looked straight ahead. You don't have to say anything. He's my grandson. I did what was right. Daniel nodded slowly. Still, I'm sorry for everything. Ray didn't answer right away. He just whispered, Me too. Suddenly, they heard a voice behind them. Excuse me, sir, are you Ray Marlowe? Ray turned. A young woman holding a phone camera was standing there. Behind her was a man with a microphone. They were reporters. We heard you saved the missing boy Leo Marlowe. Is that true? Ray stood, confused. I didn't do it for the news. I just helped a child. The woman smiled. The world wants to hear your story. You've become a hero online. Someone filmed you fighting those men outside the church. The video went viral. Ray's eyes widened. Viral. Millions of views. Everyone is talking about the brave homeless man who protected a billionaire's son. Ray was speechless. He had spent years being invisible. Now people were watching him, listening to him. The next day, Ray and Daniel were invited to speak on a morning talk show. Ray didn't want to go. He didn't like cameras or crowds. But Daniel said something that changed his mind. People like you, Dad, they don't get seen, but now you have a voice. And someone out there needs to hear it. Ray stood nervously on the stage. The lights were bright. The host smiled at him. Ladies and gentlemen, today we welcome a man who reminded us that heroes come from the most unexpected places. People clapped. Ray looked at the crowd, then slowly said, I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who saw a child in trouble and didn't walk away. That's all. He told them about the alley, the fear in Leo's eyes, the nights they hid, the black car, and the moment he realized he wasn't just saving a stranger, he was saving family. After the show, people started donating to a fund set up for Ray. Within a week it had over $200,000. Ray was shocked. He told Daniel, I don't want the money. I don't need it. Daniel replied, then use it to help others like you. So that's what Ray did. He started a small center called Second Shelter. It wasn't big, just a building with clean beds, food and warm blankets. But it was safe. And full of kindness. Homeless people who had been ignored now had a place to rest, eat, and be seen. But one evening Ray stood in front of the shelter. Leo ran up to him, holding a small drawing. It showed Ray wearing a cape. You're my superhero, Leo said. Ray laughed. I don't fly, son, Leo smiled. You don't need to, you saved me without flying. Ray hugged him tightly. Later that night, a woman came into the shelter. She had 2 kids and a black eye. Ray gave her a blanket, a hot meal, and said, "You're safe here." She looked at him with tears. "Thank you. I thought no one cared." Ray sat beside her and said softly, "I care. I used to be lost too." As more people came, the story of Ray Marlowe spread far and wide. The world called him the homeless hero, but Ray never believed that. He always said the same thing. "I didn't save Leo, he saved me. He gave me back my purpose." And Daniel, he visited the shelter often. He brought food, books, and even helped fix broken pipes. The bond between father and son was slowly healing. Leo would sit between them and say, "We're a team now." And for the first time in many, many years, Ray felt like he belonged again. Weeks passed. Ray's life had completely changed. He had gone from sleeping on cold sidewalks to running a small shelter full of hope, from being ignored to being honored on TV and in newspapers. But the biggest gift of all? Leo. The boy still came to visit every weekend. He helped hand out blankets. He served soup with a smile, and every night before bed he hugged Ray and said, "I'm glad you found me, Grandpa." Ray would just smile and whisper, "Me too, son." But something was still not right. Ray could feel it. Daniel was distant again. He came to the shelter less. He answered fewer calls. And when he did come, he looked tired, worried. One evening, Ray sat with Leo on a park bench. Leo looked at the sky. "Grandpa, is my dad hiding something?" Ray turned to him. "What do you mean? He never talks about the company anymore. He always changes the subject." Ray sighed. "Maybe he's just busy." But deep down, Ray knew something was wrong. The next morning, Ray received a letter. There was no name, just a plain white envelope. Inside, there was a newspaper article and a note. The headline read, "Marlowe Industries accused of illegal money deals." Ray's eyes widened. The article said that Daniel's company had been secretly moving money overseas, that there was an internal investigation, and worst of all, it said Daniel knew. The note inside said only 5 words. "Does Leo deserve to know?" Ray's hands trembled. Was this true? Did Daniel really do something illegal? Did Leo's father break the law? Or was this just another attack by enemies? That night, Ray went to visit Daniel at his home. He was let in by security and guided to Daniel's study. Daniel sat behind a desk, his tie loose, papers everywhere. He looked up. "Dad, what's wrong?" Ray didn't waste time. "Is it true?" Daniel didn't pretend. He leaned back and closed his eyes. "Some of it, yes." Ray's heart sank. "You told the world you were clean. Honest, you built everything from nothing." Daniel nodded slowly. "I did, but somewhere along the way I took shortcuts, signed deals I shouldn't have, trusted the wrong people. Now it's all catching up to me." Ray sat down, silent, then asked, "Does Leo know?" Daniel shook his head. "No, and I don't want him to. Not yet. He just got his father back. I don't want to lose that." Ray stood up. "You say you want to be better, but lying to Leo isn't better. He's a smart kid. He deserves the truth." Daniel looked down. "You're right, but I'm scared." Ray placed a hand on his shoulder. "So was I, when I told you I went to jail. But truth heals. Lies break everything." That weekend, Leo came to the shelter. Ray took him to the rooftop garden they had built together. They sat in the soft sunlight. "Leo," Ray said slowly, "I need to tell you something, and it might be hard to hear." Leo looked nervous. "What is it?" Ray told him the truth. About the article, the money, the investigation. Leo's face slowly changed, from confused to shocked, to angry. "He lied to me," Leo whispered. Ray nodded. "He made mistakes, just like I did. But he loves you." Leo stood up. "I trusted him again." "You still can," Ray said softly, "but only if he's honest now." That night, Leo asked to go home early. Daniel picked him up. Leo didn't say a word in the car. When they reached home, he turned to his father and asked, "Is it true?" Daniel didn't lie this time. He knelt beside his son and said, "Yes, I messed up. I was scared to lose you again, so I stayed quiet. But that wasn't right." Leo didn't speak. He just walked into his room and closed the door. Daniel called Ray that night. "He's hurt. I don't blame him," Ray replied. "Give him time, and be better." That's how trust comes back. Days passed. Leo didn't visit the shelter. Ray missed him deeply. Then, one evening, as the sun set over the city, Ray heard a small knock. He opened the door and saw Leo holding a drawing in his hand. It showed 3 people, Ray, Daniel, and Leo standing in front of the shelter. Leo looked up and said, "Families mess up sometimes, but they also forgive." Ray felt his chest grow warm. He pulled Leo into a tight hug. "I love you, kiddo." Leo smiled. "I love you too, Grandpa." From that day, something changed in Daniel. He stopped hiding. He told the public the truth. He stepped down from his company, said sorry, and started helping people full-time. He joined Ray's shelter. He cooked meals, repaired beds, listened to people, and slowly, the world saw the real Daniel Marlowe. People made mistakes, but Ray believed something powerful. Mistakes don't define you. How you fix them does. The shelter was peaceful that morning. Ray was sitting at the front desk, helping a woman fill out a housing form. In the kitchen, Daniel and Leo were laughing together, cooking eggs from the outside. They looked like a happy family, but inside, Ray's heart. Something had started to feel off. It began with a man who came to the shelter. 2 days ago, he wore a brown coat and dark sunglasses. He didn't ask for food or a bed. He just stood at the door, staring at Leo. When Ray approached him and asked, "Can I help you?" the man replied, "That boy. Are you sure he's who you think he is?" Ray's heart jumped. "What do you mean?" The man didn't answer. He simply handed Ray a white envelope and walked away. Inside the envelope was a simple note: "Should be sure before you get too close." And underneath the note, a printed report, a DNA test form. Ray's hands shook as he read it. The paper showed 2 names. Daniel Marlowe, possible father. Negative. Ray stared at the result. 0% probability. Ray couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. It had to be fake. He rushed to the back office and shut the door. He read the report again and again. Each time it said the same thing. Daniel was not Leo's biological father. But how? Leo looked like Daniel when he was young. The same dark eyes, the same chin, and Daniel had believed he was Leo's father his whole life. Could this be a mistake, or something deeper? Ray didn't tell anyone that night. He kept the paper hidden in his coat, but his mind couldn't stop spinning. He remembered Leo saying how the men in suits didn't take him home, how they kidnapped him from school and took him somewhere strange. What if Leo was never Daniel's son at all? What if someone planted him? The next day, Ray went to speak with Daniel. He showed him the envelope. Daniel read the results in silence. Then he looked up at Ray, eyes full of disbelief. "This can't be. This has to be fake." Ray nodded slowly. "That's what I thought too. But what if it's true?" Daniel stood up. "I held that boy in my arms when he was born. I raised him for 10 years. You don't need DNA to be a father." But deep inside, both men were shaken. They needed answers. Daniel called a private lab. They set up a new test using fresh samples. From Daniel and Leo, they didn't tell Leo anything yet. They didn't want to scare him. But Ray couldn't hide the worry in his eyes. Leo noticed. "Grandpa, are you okay?" Ray forced a smile. "I'm fine, son. Just tired." Leo hugged him. "You don't have to lie. I can tell something's wrong." Ray sighed. "We're just waiting for some news. That's all." Leo looked unsure, but nodded. 3 days later, the new DNA results came. Same answer. Daniel Marlowe, not the biological father. This time, there was no doubt. Daniel sat on the steps outside the lab, his hands in his hair. Then who was his real father? And why was he living with me? Ray's voice was quiet. What if Leo was taken from someone else and planted in your life to hurt you? Daniel looked at him. But who would do that? Ray shook his head. Someone who wanted to destroy you. Not through money, but through your heart. Back at the shelter, Leo saw their faces when they returned. He walked up to them slowly. "What happened?" Daniel knelt down. "Leo, we need to tell you something. It doesn't change how we feel about you, but it's the truth." Leo listened as they explained the test. At first, he didn't react. Then slowly, his face turned pale. "So, I'm not your son." Daniel reached for his hand. "Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters you are my son." Leo pulled away. "Then who am I? Who do I belong to?" The pain in his voice cut through Ray's heart. Leo wasn't just scared. He was shattered. Everything he believed was now broken. Night, Leo stayed in the back room of the shelter. He didn't eat, didn't talk. He just sat alone, holding the old drawing he once gave Ray, the one where he drew 3 people as a family. Now, he felt like he didn't belong to anyone. Ray sat outside the room, his eyes watery. He looked at Daniel and said, "This boy needs more than love now. He needs truth, and if we can't find it, he may never heal." So the search began. Daniel hired private investigators. Ray went to every shelter, school, and hospital in the city, asking questions. And then, one day, someone finally spoke up. A nurse from a closed children's clinic. She remembered a boy who looked like Leo. She remembered the day he was taken by strangers with fake documents. She gave them a name. A woman, her name was Angela Brooks. She said she was his mother. Ray wrote the name down. His hand shook. "We're getting closer," he whispered. But one question remained. If Daniel wasn't Leo's father, then who was? And why was Leo placed in Daniel's life? Just months before the company's enemies tried to take over, Ray looked at the boy sleeping that night. "So much pain, so much mystery," he whispered softly. "No matter what we find, I will never leave you. Not again. Because family is not always blood. Sometimes it's the ones who choose to stay." The air was heavy in the shelter's small kitchen. Ray poured tea with shaking hands. Daniel sat at the table, staring at a piece of paper with one name written on it. Angela Brooks. And next to it, the name of a man she was once connected to. Mark Veldon, a man who had worked at Daniel's company 10 years ago, a man who had been fired, a man who had promised revenge. Ray sat down slowly. "So this Mark, you think he's Leo's real father?" Daniel nodded. "Angela was his girlfriend back then. He used her to adopt a child illegally, probably bought papers, gave the boy a new identity, then somehow placed him in my life." Ray blinked. "But why?" to get close to destroy me from inside. To use Leo when the time was right? Ray clenched his fists. He used a child for revenge. That same evening, Leo was sitting on the rooftop garden. He had barely spoken all week. He looked out at the city, feeling more lost than ever. Ray joined him, sitting down quietly. Do you want to talk? Leo shrugged. Ray took a deep breath. We may have found the name of your real father. Leo turned to him slowly. Do I want to know? Ray looked at him. That's your choice. But no, your past doesn't define you. You're not just someone's child. You're you. Leo was quiet for a long time. Then he whispered, tell me. Later that night, they showed Leo a photo of Mark Veldon, a tall, cold-faced man. Leo stared at the picture. I've seen him before. Ray and Daniel looked at each other. Where? Daniel asked. In the building. The place those men took me. He didn't say much, but I saw him talking to them. He looked angry. He kept saying, this will teach Daniel Marlowe. Ray's jaw tightened. It's true then. He used Leo to get back at you. Daniel stood up. Then I need to end this. He needs to pay. Ray touched his arm. No, Leo needs peace. Not more war. The next day, police used the evidence Daniel gave them. Fake adoption papers. The name Angela Brooks. And Leo's own statement. Mark Veldon was arrested. It turned out he had a long record of fraud and was part of the same group that had tried to take over Daniel's company. Now, with everything exposed, Leo was legally free. But still, he didn't feel whole. 1 week later, Daniel and Ray stood before a judge. Leo sat between them, holding both their hands. The judge looked at him kindly. Leo, you are a brave young man. Today, we ask you, do you wish to be adopted by Mr. Daniel Marlowe? Leo looked at Daniel, then at Ray. He nodded. Yes, but can I have 2 guardians? My dad and my grandpa. The judge smiled. In this case, I believe we can make that happen. That night, the shelter held a small party. There was cake, laughter, and even music. Leo danced with other kids. Daniel helped serve drinks, and Ray, he stood in the corner, watching the boy he once found in an alley. Now smiling, now free, now whole. Leo ran to him, holding a small wrapped box. Open it, Grandpa. Ray opened it slowly. Inside was a handmade card. It said, to the man who didn't have to, but chose to love me anyway. Love. Leo. Tears filled Ray's eyes. He hugged Leo tight and whispered, you saved me, son. And now we saved each other. Months passed. Ray's shelter grew. More beds. More support. Daniel funded it fully. Leo helped after school, every week, and once a year. On the same day they first met, Leo and Ray would return to that alley. They'd place a flower there, and Leo would say, this is where my story really began. Ray would smile and reply, and where I got my second chance? Because sometimes, the people we save are the ones who save us back.